Do you guys ever wonder what would happen if we just disappeared off the face of the earth? I mean, as a species, if one day we just didn't exist anymore, what do you think would happen? A portion of this video is sponsored by HP. So I used to live in Toronto, and there was a building that I used to spend a lot of time in. I used to study there, I did my research there, and I did my thesis there. But a lot of people hated this building. Like, they hated this building with a passion. It was one of those buildings that everyone had an opinion about, because when you walk by it, it's impossible to ignore it. It's this massive block of concrete, and it has a very dominating presence. It has this attitude of, I don't give a crap what anyone thinks about me. Which is kind of a bizarre idea. Buildings are designed to impress people. And, as architects, we go through so many public consultations. Sometimes it's a little bit of an overkill, but, people actually have a say in what the building is supposed to look like. And they have a say all the way down to the color of the building. I remember when I was working at my very first job here in Vancouver, we had this white brick building in Chinatown. And the Chinatown Council said, no, we don't want this. White represents death in Chinese culture. And so they wanted us to change the color of the building. So public opinion, whether you like it or not, it does have an impact on the building's design. The building has to kind of justify their presence in some way. They actually did talk about removing this building a lot. But apparently, it would take the force of an atomic bomb to destroy this thing, and it would cost more and it would do more environmental damage to demolish it than to just renovate it. And so they ended up just slapping on a glass facade and cover it up. From an energy consumption point of view, this building is just an energy-consuming monster. It's poorly insulated, it's poorly waterproofed. This thing is just one big thermal bridge. For those of you who don't know how cold it gets in Toronto, it gets friggin' cold. It gets down to -30 degrees. It's brutal. It's also one of the reasons why I left Toronto. Also, from a carbon footprint point of view, concrete consumes so much carbon when it's being built. This building is just so wrong in so many ways. But there is a small group of people who seem to really love this building and just brutalist architecture in general. And I do think I get the appeal. It's the lack of pretentiousness, and it's the integrity, and it's the I don't give a crap attitude. Because in the end, this building is going to be here long after my tiny little existence, and it's going to be here long after we're gone. We are actually the temporary visitors to this building. The thing that surprised me the most is just the sheer speed in which nature starts to take over. Apparently, just in the first couple of years, native animal species start to come back. Did you know that the blue heron is a native species to Toronto? I don't think I've ever seen a blue heron in Toronto before. To film the drawing segment of this video, I used a 4K webcam because it allows me to film very long sessions without having to worry about storage, which is usually an issue when I'm filming with my phone. I use the HP 965 as a 4K input device in OBS and attach it to this articulated arm with a 1/4-inch screw hole. This webcam feels really solid and it's swivel adjustable, which allows me to frame my shot exactly the way I want it. The image quality is really good and it captures all of the details in my drawing. Once everything's set up and I need to press the record button, all the footage is going to be saved directly onto my laptop. This camera is also really great for video calls since it has a built-in AI face framing autofocus system and audio noise reduction. If you want to learn more about this HP 965 webcam, I'll leave the link in the description. Apparently in just a couple of years, native plant species start to come back and they start to thrive. You'll see moss and trees and flowers crawling up buildings. All the books, especially in the rare books library, would get wet. They would start to grow mold and fungi, and maybe it could become a really rich habitat for a lot of different animal species. By the way, if you're interested in any of my Procreate assets, I'll leave the link in the description. The atrium, since it connects all the floors and has the most access to daylight, could become a breeding ground for different plants. We see everything from a human-centric point of view. And how could we not? Everything around us exists in relation to us. And fundamentally, it's a tool to serve us. Form follows function, the human function. So a building's existence is justified as long as it serves us and as long as we like it. And maybe because we relatively have pretty short lives, we think about the lifespan of buildings in a very limited way too. Typical life expectancy of a building is something around 50 years. And by that time, the buildings become so deteriorated or outdated that you have to decide whether you want to demolish it or you want to renovate it. It's so hard to even conceptualize a world without us, but in the grand time span of the Earth, and even in the grand scale of the galaxy, we are just a tiny, tiny little blip. If it happens, for some freak accident, we just get wiped off the face of the Earth. Or maybe it happens in a couple thousands of years. Maybe it's just the natural decline of our species. Or we just end up killing ourselves. What would happen to our buildings? Which of them would become artifacts? And what do they become without us? This is a new format that I'm experimenting with again. So if you liked it, if you like this conceptual sketching type video, or if you have any suggestions on how to make it better, let me know in the comments. And I have a Discord server if you want to keep in touch with the community. I'll leave the link in the description. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.